And welcome into the first Pigskin picks of the season here on Delaware Live Sports, powered by 302. And we're going to welcome back the defending champ, Jason Winchell. Jason's the only person to ever ran the table last year, went 8-0. Nobody's ever done that. So he's on. He's got to go week one and try to defend his title. So, Trey, we're going to start right off the bat with a Thursday night game. It's a big one. 7 o'clock Thursday night. Number 1 Caravel and number 6 Hodgson with 302 Sports will have this game.
Yeah, man, it's a tough game to pick a winner here. Hodgson is making some noise in AAA. They had a big win over number 7 Howard and AA. And this week they're taking on the number 1 team in AA and the defending state champs in Caravel. God, this one's. You know what? I'm gonna take Caravel at home.
Jason, he's got Caravel at home. What'd you say?
Yeah, I'm with him. I got a chance to see Hodgson last week against Howard, and when they finally got that offense going in the second half, they were able to pull away. But their defense was really good against that Howard team, and so that their defense going to have to keep them in the game against a very well-balanced Caravel attack. But I just think Caravel has too much, and playing at home, I like Caravel at home.
This is a big cross-class game, AAA versus AA. It's the backyard brawl, which in recent years has been in the Bucks' backyard, as Hodgson's been playing their home games there as they await their new stadium to be built. But Hodgson is talented and takes on the defending AA champs. And it's hard to we can't even go with the home team concept since Hodgson's been playing there. It's been their home away from home. But the Bucks, they ran the table last year, a perfect season. And now I think they're going to stay perfect. I like Caravel to win this game Thursday night, and we'll have that game on Delaware Live. Let's move next to Friday night. This is a big AA game, cross-district game. Friday night, 7 o'clock in Wilmington. Delmar versus number 6 Delaware Military Academy. Trey, who do you got?
This is going to be Delmar's second trip up to Wilmington. They blew out Dickinson last week. But the Wildcats are facing a much tougher team in DMA, and DMA had a big win over Early College last Thursday. The first week doesn't tell us too much about either team, but look out for freshman running back from DMA, Isaiah Muhammad. He's a big play guy, and he only got 3 carries, but he makes the best of them by scoring a touchdown. And then, of course, Khalil Schofield is already a household name for Delmar. He showed he can score on either side of the ball with a punt block for a touchdown to get things started the season. I like number 6 DMA at home.
Jason.
Yeah, this is a really big game in the 2A division right out of the gate. Second weekend. DMA looked really good last week, but against Early College, and Delmar looked really good coming up against Dickinson. But now they're both in their class, and it's a big game. And this one, I was tossing and turning all week since you sent me the notes, Benny, and I am going to go DMA to win a close one.
Malcolm Roy and Edmund Evans, the dual running back tandem, are gone for DMA, but Khalil Schofield and Isaiah Holbrook, they return for Delmar. The Wildcats, they're senior heavy, 19 of them. And many have been playing for several years. They have a lot of experience in that senior class. Delmar traditionally can win on the road, and this game has upset written all over it, and I'm going to take the bait. I'm the little town of Delmar. They're going to leave the city with a big AA victory. I'm taking Delmar to win this game Friday night. Let's move to 7 o'clock Friday night. The Caesar Rodney Riders and the Lake Forest Spartans, both teams 1-0. Trey, what's the energy like up there in Ridertown?
Yeah, man, the energy's at a high level right now. They got in that way. I'm on the football team. They got their first win, first opening season win since 2020. They did it against a good William Penn team, very talented William Penn team. But Lake Forest always, they always bring talent and energy. They can score. They always play great defense. They got Aiden Young, who's a tough runner, and Darius Miller is lightning quick. When he gets the ball, he strikes. But I gotta go with the Riders, man. The Riders 2-0.
The Homer's going with his home team there, Jason. Who do you have in this downstate game?
Well, let me talk about Caesar Rodney. Last year they played William Penn in the opener and gave up like 30+ points, and this year they shut them out. So defense really played well against a very good William Penn offense. That's what impressed me the most in their win last week. Lake Forest, they got off to a slow start at Odessa, but really turned it on in the second half, and their defense also played great. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game, and I'm gonna take Lake Forest at home to eke out a victory.
Lake Forest defense now headed up. The defense coordinator, friend of mine and Trey's, and Josh Webb gets a win in his first game. Just a little 15-mile trip down 13 into the woods of Felton, but another tough place to get a road win. There's a lot of pride in Lakeland, and while beating Milford's always the hallmark of the season, knocking off one of Kent County's giants just may be bigger. Lake Forest took the Riders behind the woodshed last year, winning 38-13. But the difference this year is Caesar Rodney comes in with confidence. This is a toss-up game to me, and I usually go home team, but the Riders are different this year. I'm going with Caesar Rodney to steal one on the road in Lakeland. Let's move to the Battle of the Bones, 7 o'clock Friday night. 0-1 Laurel up against first game of the season for the Brandywine Bulldogs. Trey, who you got? Game is in Laurel.
Yeah, this is a fun game of schools on opposite ends of the state. It's a little trophy game now. Like you said, Battle of the Bone. Brandywine did not play last week, so there's little to know about them right now. But I do know I've watched Joey Jones, the coach of Laurel, as working the camera for 302. I've watched him as a fan. I know he's a solid coach, and he's going to have his team ready. And every year they lose some studs, but he always seems to reload and keeps that team in every game they play. They hung with Central for a while last week, and I like Laurel at home.
Jason, what are they saying in Wilmington about Brandywine? What do you got here?
Yeah, and Brandywine had a strong start to the year last year, Benny, and then they kind of slide in the second half. They got a new quarterback, but they bring back, a ton of speed on the offensive end. But I just don't know if they can hang with that Laurel team. I saw your game last week, Benny, and Laurel impressed me against Sussex Central. Even though they didn't get the win, they played them really tough, and I just like Laurel in this game. I think they have too much firepower for the Brandywine Bulldogs, but I think it's going to be a good year for this Brandywine team. I think they're going to compete in that 1A.
Laurel took on number 4 in AAA Sussex Central. They took them deep to the third quarter, tied 20-20 before the size and experience of the Golden Knights took over. Last week, Laurel was playing up in class, and this week now they're playing down against single A Brandywine. Yes, the Bulldogs are going to win, but it's going to be the dogs in the red. Laurel keeps the trophy down in Western Sussex County. Trey, let's move to Saturday, 2 o'clock. This is a big cross-district game, and number 2 in single A versus number 3 in double A, Wilmington Friends. Game is in Alapocus. What do you got, Trey?
Yeah, the Quakers were Tatnall's only loss last year on their way to a Class A state title. And Tatnall hasn't beat Friends since 2011, and I like Friends at home here. I'm good Friends.
Jason?
Yeah, Tatnall lost a lot from that 1A championship this year, and then you got a tall order against that Friends team led by Tattersall, a quarterback. Friends did lose McKenzie, who was their all-around, running back, best linebacker on the defensive end, and he also filled in at quarterback when Tattersall was hurt last year and led them to a few wins during the season. So he's the guy they're going to have to replace this year. But with Tattersall back, I like the Quakers to win this rivalry game against Tat.
The one thing I do like to pick Friends home games is I get to say Alapocus. It's about the only time I get to say it normally. But a Saturday afternoon in Alapocus is a great atmosphere, especially in September. I've caught a couple games there, but one day I'm just going to have to go take my lawn chair, sit on the sidelines, and take one of these games in. It's an atmosphere that makes beating the Quakers at their house tough. Plus the Tattersall factor. You have Tattersalls everywhere, on the sideline, in the booth, in the bleachers, and this year Ryan Tattersall is the quarterback. This is a rough opener for the Hornets. Wilmington Friends, they go to 1-0 this game, and they make it 12 straight against Tatnall. So we'll move to Friday at 4, St. Mark's at St. George's. Trey?
Yeah, we got 2 teams here that missed the state tournament last year, and they're looking towards that rebuild. And it starts this game. They're both trying to get to a hot start and, get back to the playoff contention. It's an odd start time, Friday at 4. That kind of favors the home team for me. St. Mark's having to, leave midday to get ready for a game. So I like St. George's at home here.
Jason, what's it going to be like for the Spartans to be pulling out of Pike Creek at middle afternoon, trying to get on a Friday, try to get down to St. George's for a 4 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. Have you ever seen the traffic Friday going south, especially the weekend after Labor Day? I think it's going to be not a fun trip down there for the Spartans. I really liked St. Mark's last year. I thought they had the schedule. They had 6 home games. Benny, they went 1-5 in those 6 home games where the Spartans normally never lose, and they lost to St. George's, blowing a big second half lead in that game. I think if the Spartans want to taste the playoffs this year, they need to win this game on the road. But with that tough start time, I am going St. George's because I think that it favors the home team.
The holy war that is not. J.D. Mall told me the first few years when he was at St. George's, everybody thought they were a private school. But over the years, the Hawks have made themselves known throughout the state of who they exactly are. Big cross-district 3A game to start off the year. The Spartans, they're hit hard by graduation, and the Hawks have a tremendous experience returning. If their seniors lead, St. George's could be in a 3A conversation this year. I'm going to take St. George's in a close one. So let's move to our first of our 2 Friday night games of the week. It's number 1, Slazan, the defending state champs, up against number 5, Smyrna. And Trey, here we find Smyrna 0-1 again, but that's not unusual for them.
No, Slazan, they rolled into this year, not skipping a beat from last year's title run. They beat Episcopal 34-13. And they're going to be tough this year. Quarterback Brady McBride had 2 touchdowns and 239 yards passing. He's definitely going to keep Smyrna. Him and the Sally's team is going to keep Smyrna on the heels. And Smyrna, they've kind of been traditionally a slow starting team, not because they play tough competition to start the year as well. They're coming off a tough loss to a Downingtown team. I got Sally's winning here. Their offense is looking pretty good. But that doesn't mean Smyrna is anywhere out of, title talks or playoff contention by any means. But I have Sally's winning this one.
Jason, last year, Smyrna came in, the only team with a losing record, and they took Sally's to the wire in the first round of the playoffs. What do you see in this game?
Yeah, and Coach Mike Judy and Coach Marks, they make great adjustments. And they played Sally's during the regular season and struggled against that great defense. And let me tell you, this Sally's defense is for real. Paul Warlow's done a great job with that defense. And they play fast. They tackle well. But what Smyrna was able to do in that playoff game was get the ball to the receiver's hands quickly. And I think that's what they're going to have to do here. And they're going to have to be able to break tackles. One thing, I was at the Sally's game last week. They did everything well, including a couple big return sallies. But the one thing was penalties. They had a lot of penalties, a lot of discipline penalties, jumping off sides, stuff like that, late hits to the quarterback. They can't have that against a Smyrna team on the road. But I like the South to win this one.
Glenn, go ahead. Glenn, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just like them to win the game down there. I think they have too much for Smyrna, but I think Smyrna is going to be tough.
Glenn Frazier and Pat Gariantes will also have to call in that game. I think, Jason, you'll be buzzing around there somewhere Friday night, won't you?
Yeah. Yes, I will. And I think I'm going to hit St. George's, St. Mark's on the way down there, at least for the first half anyway.
Right. Before last weekend, this game loomed big as maybe the best game for week 1, but both had out-of-state opponents and much different outcomes. Slazan won big over Episcopal, and I think their ability to pass the ball, it will be a problem for Smyrna early in the season. Losing to a very sound Downingtown team wasn't a surprise, wasn't a big surprise, but 42-6 was. The Eagles, they just don't get dominated like that, and they have a big challenge this week, defending McBride on defense and reducing the turnovers on offense. To have a chance against the Sows, but I like Slazan to move to 2-0 and this week, heading into week number 2. And finally, our downstate game of the week. It's another top 5 game as the number 2 Middletown Cavaliers head into the Castle to take on number 4 Sussex Central. Trey, how do you see this game?
This is a bonus point game for the end of the year. I think they're both going to. I see them both making it out of their respective districts, and if they don't win their districts, this could be for a 3 seed in the 3A state tournament. Middletown enters the Castle coming off a huge win off of one of New Jersey's best teams in Red Bank Catholic. And but we talk about Central at home, man. They're always tough in the Castle. But the Cavaliers have had success there. Malik Bell is one of the top running backs in the state, with Jawan Sturgis and Will Harmon to complement him in the backfield. This is going to come down to who controls the trenches. And, I don't pick against Central at the Castle, man. I think we're going to find a way to control the trenches and maybe get a couple stops here. I'm going to go Sussex Central.
Going with the Golden Knights at home. Jason, what do you say?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I really like the way Middletown's defense played last week against that team from New Jersey. They were flying all over the ball. But on the offensive side, they struggled a little bit against that Red Bank Catholic defense. And they got to make the trip down south. But I'm leaning Cavaliers to go down there and take care of business and move to 2-0 and set that up with Salesianum for later in the season.
It's the home opener at the Castle, along with the first week of school. So expect a large and loud home crowd from the night crew. But enter the cowbells. Middletown travels well. And for a top 5 week 1 matchup, this atmosphere is going to be electric in Georgetown. The Golden Knights, as Trey said, they're tough to beat at home. They have to get the run game going. They showed last week that that they're going to have to push the Cavs early at the line of scrimmage. Middletown is loaded with talent and showed last week that they may be the best team in the state. Since Sussex Central beat Middletown for the 2020 state championship, the Cavs, they took it personal, winning 41-7 last year, 42-16 in 2022, and 49-7 in 2021, although that game was later forfeited. But on the field, since that last Sussex Central win, the Cavaliers have outscored Sussex Central 132-30. Like Trey said, the Castle's a tough place to make a living, but I think the Cavs are going to shake off the mystique Friday night. Middletown wins this game. So 3 big games this week. Jason, you'll be pulling double duty. I'm sorry, we got to speed this up because I'm sitting outside and it's getting a little bit dark. So Caravel, and they're all our games this week, man. They're top of the line games this week. Caravel at Hodgson, Salesianum at Smyrna, and then Middletown at Sussex Central. Jason, early on, I think all these teams, playoff teams.
Yeah, I think so, Benny. And what I like is it's an early, you normally don't get this many good matchups in week 1, and we got them a lot this year. And those 3 are going to be important. I think all 6 of those teams will be in the state tournament in their respective classes.
Trey, you opened school yesterday. The Riders are 1-0 for the first time in 4 years. What was the talk on Old North Road?
Hey, man, we're just excited, right? We got that, like you said, 1-0 for the first time since 2020. It's been a couple of rough seasons for our Riders. So we're proud of them. We're happy for them, and we got that Rider pride. We're excited for them. So the energy's high right now in Caesar Rodney.
Trey pulling out the Rider pride. He'll tell you it's real. So that's Benny Mitchell for Jason Winchell and Trey Mitchell for Delaware Live, powered by 303 Sports. These are our week 1 picks. We'll be back next week, but let's see first if Jason can defend that perfect record from last year. Folks, we'll see you at kickoff.